It was Simchas Torah night in the year Taf Reish Pei Gimel, October 17th, 1922. Reb Dov Thaler arrived home from dancing at Kafis to find that his wife Liba Rezel had given birth to a baby boy. They named him Yitzchak. Zaidy was born in Dej, a small city in Transylvania, then ruled by Hungary. Although Zaidy was born to a loving home, the house he lived in we would today describe as a bungalow.
No, I think it was two rooms, one kitchen, and the kitchen was large enough that we could eat in it. But it was a nice world. It really was a nice world. And I loved being in Europe. It was so peaceful. Even though we didn't have enough to eat, we were all together.
Right, there's nothing
we're
like
one
that.
for the other, you know. And we were known in the community, you know. We could fight amongst ourselves, and they heard us fighting. But don't you dare let anybody else touch them.
In 1926, on the 14th day of Mar Cheshvan, at the very tender age of 4, Zaidy's mother Liba Rezel passed away, leaving him and his 11 elder siblings orphaned.
We didn't have anything. We took clothes from other people that they brought it, and so we were very happy just to have,
Right.
you know. It didn't matter where it came from.
What did you eat for breakfast, lunch, and supper there?
Mama Liga.
Hmm?
You know what that is, Mama Liga?
No.
Your mother never made it for you?
Mama Liga?
No.
It's corn porridge.
Due to extreme poverty, the 2 eldest sons were sent to America to work and send back money for the family to live on. The whole family soon followed, and such a large family coming on a ship to America is reported to have made it to the New York Times. When Zaidy's father tried working as a mashkiach in America, they complained to Zaidy's brother, "He sees too much." To which Zaidy's father replied, "On my beard, they want to sell treif?" It was soon that Zaidy's father came to see how difficult it was in those days to be a frummer Yid in America. He asked that the family return to Europe. When the children resisted leaving America, Zaidy's father asked that they at least allow him to take baby Yitzchak, Zaidy, back to Europe with him, so that he may at least have a kaddishu. Upon returning to Transylvania, Zaidy became a Talmud of Rav Yankov Elimelech Paneth in the Deji Yeshiva.
Hast du gelernt, hast du nicht gelernt? Geh chazen.
Soon after, Zaidy's father remarried a lady named Chana. She treated him like her own child, Zaidy would say. It was then, on Shavuos in 1934, that Zaidy's father, Reb Dov Thaler, passed away, leaving him without any parents at the young age of just 12 years old. He then went to learn in Lapash, and then he learned under the Maram Brisk Zatzal in the Toshnad Yeshiva, where he excelled in learning. In Shavuos 1942, word spread around that the Nazis were quickly closing in on the yeshiva. Zaidy quickly made a belt with pockets, in which he placed his 3 most precious belongings, his father's tefillin, a Bis Yaakov Emden Siddur, and the Sefer Noyam Elimelech. It was then that Zaidy was led away to the Nazi labor camps. His stepmother and all her natural children perished at the hands of the evil Nazis, Yamach Shemam, in Auschwitz. Zaidy always kept her yahrzeit on Shavuos, when much of a Hungarian Jewry were murdered, Hashem Yinkom Dama. At one particular incident in Zaidy's labor camp, the Nazi firing squad put Zaidy in a lineup to be shot. But as the bullets hit the people lined up around him, Zaidy played dead by stumbling down and putting his head into a ditch so that he can breathe, until the Nazi firing squad left, thinking all were dead.
Used to keep after the Red Cross. She always said, I know he's alive, I know he's alive. And we all figured after, all this time we haven't heard from him, and after the war was over, it was also like 4 years.
Throughout all this, Zaidy managed to hold on to his father's dear tefillin. Zaidy was liberated by the Russians and taken to a labor camp in Achengaltz, which is near the North Pole, higher than Siberia. There he spent approximately 1 year. It was bitter cold, and in the summer there was no night, and in the winter there was no day. It was there that Zaidy negotiated an offer to a fellow who was holding on to his murdered friend's tefillin.
As they liberated us, they took us to Russia as prisoners together with Germans and Hungarian soldiers. I had my tefillin under my head constantly when I slept, so I shouldn't lose it. But at one night, probably one of these other prisoners thought that I have something to eat in it, and they grabbed it from me. I didn't have it. So when we came to Russia, I found that another Russian prisoner who had a friend that was shot by the Russians when he tried to escape, and he had his tefillin. And he was willing to sell it to me for 30 days bread.
After Zaidy fasted for 10 days, towards the 30 he needed to buy this pure tefillin he so desperately wanted, people pressured the man to give Zaidy the tefillin. Zaidy worked very hard all week, and when his supervisor asked him on Shabbos, "What's with you? All week you work from the best ones, and one day a week, what happens to you?" To which Zaidy replied, "It's in my blood. I just cannot get myself to work." It was at this Russian labor camp, Achengaltz, that Zaidy contracted a very bad lung infection called tuberculosis, for which there were no medications available for Zaidy. This left Zaidy's lungs badly scarred for the rest of his life. At the age of 25, in the year 1947, Zaidy got married in Romania to Babi Vika. Uncle Shlomo Gedalia Sheikhya was born in France while the young couple was trying to get to the USA. Due to Zaidy's having contracted tuberculosis, and due to the McCarthy witch hunt for communists, his family in America had to pay a huge sum of money in bribes to multiple very high officials in the Democratic Party. Ultimately, President Harry Truman himself had to sign off, giving permission for Zaidy and his family to get through and past Ellis Island. Zaidy's brothers and sisters prepared him an apartment to live in, next to them in Belleville, New Jersey. But despite all they had done to help get Zaidy and his family to safety in America, when Zaidy realized that there was no Yiddishkeit there, he left his siblings and moved his young family to a basement apartment house on the Upper West Side of New York, where there was a Jewish community then. There, he and Bobby worked as a cook for the Babava Yeshiva, and it was there that Liber Rezel Shetichya was born in 1953. Before Sukkot, Zaidy spoke to frum people in the neighborhood about building a sukkah. Their attitude was, "Don't bother. We can probably make Kiddush and Babav," they said. Zaidy could not accept that. He went looking through garbage dumps and the like and found old broken doors that were thrown out. They were heavy and it took a lot of time, but Zaidy schlepped them in order to build a beautiful sukkah. Those same people that did not want to bother then came and helped Zaidy to build a sukkah and joined him for the rest of Sukkot. But this time it was with an excitement. When it came to Pesach on the west side, Zaidy invited all of his siblings and their families for a real Pesach Seder. It was then that one of Zaidy's sisters came dressed as Eliyahu HaNavi at Shvei Chamascha and scared Uncle Shlomo Gedalia under the table. In 1954, they settled in Crown Heights on New York Avenue between Eastern Parkway and Union Street. In 1956, they moved to 1180 President Street between Nostrand and Rogers Avenues. Zaidy was very close to the Spinker Rebbe, and later on with Rav Mordechai Harlik, the Rav of President Street Stiebel. While living in Crown Heights, Zaidy worked as a tie cutter and also at a chicken market. Then he started producing smoked chicken, which was kosher but marketed to Goyim. In order to profit, Zaidy was advised by Reb Moshe that he can use Hebrew national meat. But Zaidy refused. To profit from kashrus, he would not eat. It was then that Zaidy went into making slipcovers. In the year 1968, when the Crown Heights neighborhood had already gotten really bad, they were from the last to move to Borough Park. It was after they moved to Borough Park that he would travel daily to Bayonne, New Jersey to make a parnasa. In the mid-1980s, Zaidy's necktie factory burned down by what is believed to have been arson fire from a disgruntled employee. In Borough Park, he was close to the Kapishnitzar Rebbe, in whose shul he used to give all the children candy every Shabbos. He was also close to Rav Turnauer from Sherma Shabbos, Rav Bick, and Rav Menashe Klein. In 1982, Zaidy married Mrs. Judy Weiss, who always treated all of Zaidy's grandchildren like true Eneklach. And until her passing on Chav Hei Tishrei, Tafshin Samaches, she took great care of Zaidy. As her last words to Tante Lieber Eisel were, "Take good care of your father." After retiring, Zaidy spent his days davening, learning, and saying Tehillim for all the Eneklach in Rav Menashe Klein's shul. Although it got very difficult for him to go due to his debilitating illness, he continued going to Beis Medrash Munkach when they moved to 14th Avenue after their apartment on 55th Street burned in a fire. They don't make them like they used to, like Zaidy is.
Zaidy's life was a continuously amazing story.
At the crack of dawn, on Shabbos Parshas Vayishlach, Yud Ches Kislev, Tafshin Ayin, December 5th, 2009, after a very lengthy illness, Zaidy's neshama left this world and returned to its creator. As was Zaidy's will, he was laid to rest hastily on Har Menuchos in Yerushalayim. The Chevra Kadisha made an unusually special exception to allow Zaidy's tefillin, for which he had such mesirus nefesh for during the war, to be buried with him. May Zaidy continue to have only nachas from his children, his grandchildren, and all his great-grandchildren, and may he be a good better for all his family and for all of Klal Yisrael with the coming of Mashiach speedily.
Yeah.